Hello, my name is Dr. Eileen Hutton, and I'm a lecturer in Art and Ecology and Historical Critical Studies at Burren College of Art in County Clare, Ireland. First, I will address the title of my contribution and specifically the phrase "beyond the pale," which is in direct relation to the Irish usage. The Pale originally referred to an area of land in Ireland that was directly under English colonial rule from the 13th to the mid-15th century, and more recently, the Pale refers to the capital city of Dublin. And any place beyond these city limits is referred to colloquially as beyond the Pale. The college itself is rurally located on the western edge of the island at the western edge of Europe, outside urban and even suburban boundaries. I would argue that Ecoart pedagogy similarly exists beyond traditional borders and boundaries of artistic practice and pedagogy. At Burren College of Art, we have both a 2-year master's program in art and ecology, and we host a study abroad undergraduate module. The presentation I will deliver will provide an overview of the semester-long module as a case study. By focusing on the central tenets of my pedagogical approach and by featuring a select number of students' past works, I will explain how this module enables students to cultivate a sense of personal and collective agency in relation to climate issues. The art and ecology classes begin with an initial introduction to the Burren landscape, a karst limestone landscape that has been shaped over millennia by glacial, tectonic, solutional, and human processes. Despite the predominantly gray, stony appearance of the land, it supports over 70% of Ireland's 900 native plant species, and as a result, numerous insects, invertebrates, and mammals. It is a landscape rich in biodiversity to the extent that nearly half of its 259 square miles have been designated as special areas of conservation in line with the EU Habitats Directive. Uniquely, these priority habitats are largely owned and managed by farmers in association with the Burren program, a bespoke agri-environmental program. A draw for geotourism, the Burren also has been designated a UNESCO Global Geopark. Central to the art and ecology class is an emphasis on direct engagement and encounters with place, a grounding in eco-critical theory, and an alignment with the central tenets of the Earth Charter, as well as an awareness of current climate science. We study contemporary artistic practice, and I emphasize an experimental and risk-taking approach to making work that embraces ecological thinking. As such, the class is delivered through a series of lectures, group discussions, individual tutorials, workshops, and field trips. In this image, Dr. Tamaru Hunt Joshi details field study methods for intertidal zones, identifying a range of aquatic and semi-aquatic life. Alongside the field trips, we address water's influence in shaping the Burren's landscape, including the impacts of chemical, agricultural, physical pollution such as marine waste and microplastics. We speak about the anthropogenic influences on climate change, such as overfishing and nitrogen runoff, and how we can best manage our water resources. This is Dr. Una Nealon of the Galway Back Group giving a guided walk to a group of students around Loch Rask, a brackish lake 5 miles from the college. As we walk around the lake with bat detectors and torches, Dr. Una Nealon spoke about local bat species and their surrounding ecology. This particular evening in September was warm and dry, and we were able to listen to the high-pitched echolocation frequencies of the common pipistrelle and the brown long-eared bat in real time. The third project of the semester, The Materiality of Making, asks students to reflect on and then reimagine the how and the what of their studio practice. It prompts conversations about individual material consumption, carbon footprints, personal responsibility, and agency both within the studio and in daily life. During this project, I facilitate one of 2 workshops, Growing Mycelial Objects or Wild Dyes, which demonstrates the process for making a sustainable medium as an alternative to the carbon-intensive petroleum-based synthetic products found in many studios. Part of the Wild Dyes workshop includes a local foraging field trip where we gather materials in the Burren, often along hedgerows, to create plant-based dyes. This outing allows students to gain an understanding of the historical and local uses of native plants and highlights the potential for sourcing regenerative materials. As part of the preliminary research, we reflect on a few essential questions and considerations, such as, is there local folklore associated with the plants? Often these stories will point to an underlying ecological reason for gathering or not gathering at a particular time. According to Irish folklore, the last day that blackberries should be eaten off the bush is September 29th. After this day, it is believed that the puka, or the shapeshifter fairy, will pass over the fruit, defecating on it and making it inedible. Ecologically, the berries have often begun to ferment by this stage and are susceptible to certain fungi. Although potentially toxic for humans, they are often essential late harvest for birds and small mammals. The foraging trips also coincide with the college's Adopt a Hedgerow practice, which was originally developed by the Burren Ecotourism Network. Through this initiative, organizations maintain a stretch of roadside, engage with the local communities to collect litter, monitor and report dumping, and manage invasive plant species. In the following few slides, I will show examples of student works that have been developed as a result of this project prompt. This student, Sierra Schaefer, made a wearable garment complete with birch buttons lining the back. Other students have used dyes to create fiber-based sculptures, watercolors, and gouaches. This student, Zola Kell, created biofluorescent anthotypes using biopigments such as turmeric, pomegranate skins, and avocado peels. The resulting image was biofluorescent because of the vegetal pigments and was only visible under a UV light. Inherently, working with mycelium allows artists to cultivate a symbiotic relationship in order to make work, utilizing and actively negotiating with natural phenomena such as growth, decay, and micro-remediation. There are myriad ways in which artists can work with fungi. For example, this student, Skylar Brennan, made a series of wearable sculptures using wood shavings, coffee grounds, and mycelium. In conjunction with the project assignment that prompts thinking about materiality, we take a trip to a locally engineered landfill near Ennis in County Clare. The facilities manager and environmental scientist, Maeve Ryan, guides us through the operation and maintenance of the facility. When the landfill was closed 7 years ago, ecologists were enlisted to help reconstruct wildlife habitats within and on top of the closed waste cells. The integrated areas of marsh grass have bolstered populations of frogs and ducks, and the planting of native Irish trees has reintroduced red and amber listed bird species back into the area. The ongoing ecological development of the closed landfill is a pivotal point of discussion in relation to reimagining structures of artistic practice and asks students to reflect on and then reimagine the how and the what of their studio practice. The past few images of student work present hopeful, alternative ways of making within the studio, but there are also dystopian voices and perspectives that reflect equally valid responses to the climate crisis. In one page of a Best Products of 2050 marketing catalog, Sienna McKim implicates capitalist economies and extractivist practices in these dystopian depictions of future climate collapse. It is a difficult inheritance that students must navigate, and as an artist and educator, I do not have a singular ameliorative solution to offer. The best approach I can devise is to align my strategies with the climate narrative of hope punk, which is akin to Haraway's articulation of staying with the trouble. Hope punk is about strong, resilient, do-it-together communities that act collectively, in spite of a realistic awareness of climate science, to reimagine the future. Hope punk finds bright spots and grows into them. In the following 2 slides, I will show a few projects that I feel embody a hope punk ethos. One photographer made a short video detailing the considerable amounts of water used in black and white photography in order to highlight the importance of proper handling and disposal of darkroom chemicals so as to minimize environmental impact. This video served as a basis for her alma mater reevaluating their darkroom policies to include more adequate ventilation, more efficient waste disposal, and an increased use and recycling of chemicals. This student, Zoe Dalton, a documentary film major, researched the carbon footprint of a major Hollywood film released in 2014 and determined that at a very conservative estimate, approximately 38,000 metric tons of carbon were released into the atmosphere as a result of this film's production. And just to give you a small perspective, 1 ton of carbon dioxide has the capacity to melt 3 square meters of Arctic ice. She proposed new accountability measure for films that could be displayed in the credits, akin to a no animals were harmed in the production of this film credit, and that all future film productions be required to offset their carbon footprint. She is currently in LA working as an intern on a small indie documentary and developing a company that will monitor and facilitate these carbon offsets. This is the accompanying logo that she designed. Over the last 2 years, we have come to more fully understand how small our planet is, how interconnected our political, economic, social, and environmental systems really are. Developing a capacity to become eco-literate artists allows students to build upon their direct engagement and encounters with place and integrate a practical toolkit of artistic and eco-social practice methodologies. It can help them to, if not embrace, then at least to better understand and live with the complexity, the flux, and even sometimes the chaos that it is an inherent component of life on Earth. It is only from this awareness that we can begin to live as though we are interconnected. Thank you.